All right, so now we have a hand that's going to be really relevant for one of the classes we're giving at the Cavendish. And why don't you take me through this hand, Chris? You ended up in four hearts with a pretty straightforward auction.
Yeah, so very standard auction to very standard contract and get the opening spade lead here. And I've got to make a plan because there are definitely some losers to worry about here.
Right.
So I can see that I'm going to need trumps to break to have any chance for this contract, unless there's some miracle in diamonds, because barring that miracle, I've got to lose two diamonds and a club to start with. But if we look a little deeper into the hand, we can see that there's actually a further danger, uh, other than
The heartbreak.
losing those tricks and handling the trumps, which is what we would call getting tapped out. And what I mean by that is if we're not careful, the opponents might be able to play spades so many times that in the end, we might have some winning clubs and diamonds, but they've got winning spades and they're the ones with trumps left.
Right.
So like, ha ha, you can take those good clubs and
Right.
diamonds for the next deal, but we're going to take our spades on this deal.
Yeah, and they've already gotten off to the killing lead. They started the tap suit right away, which is a bad beat for you, just right from the
Right, right.
beginning.
The spade lead is very threatening. So the way that I'm thinking about this deal is in terms of what I call tempos,
Okay.
or to put that in English, how many times I need to give the lead before my tricks are established.
Gotcha. And this is in an effort to at least keep you from ending in the situation you just talked about, where the opponents just have trumps and good tricks.
Right, and sometimes there's nothing we can do about it, right? Not every declare a play problem has a solution. Sometimes we're just tapped out.
Yep.
But we have to be careful to try to avoid it if we can.
And these are
And
the
so
ones where you go down a lot of under tricks if you get it wrong, for
you
sure.
you, you definitely can. And
Yep.
so on this deal, I see that I'm going to need to concede the lead at least once to set up the clubs. In
Yep.
fact, exactly once, right? That's
Yep.
really straightforward. I've got to at some point knock out the ace of clubs.
Yep.
Diamonds is a little trickier because I'm going to need a diamond trick for my contract,
Yep.
but I might need to give the lead once or twice, depending on whether I make a successful initial guess
In
in
the
the
diamond
diamond
suit,
suit.
right?
So if I pass the jack of diamonds successfully and East has to win the ace, I've got my diamond trick already, which is all I need
Yep.
to get to 10 tricks. So I don't need to further give the lead. But let's say I pass the jack of diamonds and East wins the queen.
Now you're in
Now
a
I'm going
lot
to
more
need to
trouble.
get in again at some point and knock out the diamond ace. So there's the possibility of needing three tempos.
Right.
And I don't really have those so easily to spare. Let's kind of chess through it a little bit in our heads. Let's imagine we draw three rounds of trumps now, and the trumps are 3-2, so that's it. The trumps are gone, except that we have two remaining in the north hand.
Yep.
Uh, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drive out the opponent's ace of clubs. And whenever they win that ace, they're going to play another spade, tapping us.
Boom.
So we're
And
down to only one trump. Now we're going to cross to the south hand in the club suit
yep.
to take a diamond finesse. And uh, that could be one of two plays, right? We could choose to finesse west for the diamond queen
Yep.
by leading the jack of diamonds, planning to pass it around to east.
Right.
So that would be a winning play on this layout, right? We're finessing against west for the queen.
For sure.
But we could also, just as reasonably, finesse west for the diamond ace by
Because
leading low towards the king. That's just as much of a finesse as leading the jack of diamonds, even though it doesn't feel like as much of one.
and you're only really looking for one trick there.
Right. I'm only looking for one trick.
Right. If you needed
But
two, it might be a little different, but
That's true. Although with this holding, it's very unlikely. I'm going to need really a
Wi-
miracle
right,
position
without them
to
leading it.
without them leading the suit to get two tricks, because that missing nine of diamonds is kind of critical. But
Sure.
that's kind of a topic for another time. But the main point that I want to emphasize is that if I make an incorrect guess of which diamond finesse to play, like let's say on this layout, I played a diamond to the king
Yep.
and that lost to the ace. When the opponents now continue spades, boom, that's my last trump.
And now you're just wide
And
open.
so when I need to establish a diamond trick by knocking out the queen of diamonds, playing a diamond to the jack and queen,
Yep.
the opponents are going to be well equipped to cash spades. And so I'm not going to be able to make my contract.
Right.
So I've seen this far ahead. And so at trick two, my solution is very straightforward.
Diamond.
I'm not going to draw trumps right away. And why is that? Because when I lose my first tempo, in other words, the opponents gain the lead,
Right, which is
and they
happening right
tap
now.
me,
Yep.
they're going to go ahead and tap me, or actually here they didn't.
Right.
But let's say they did.
Yeah.
Then when I give them a second trick, they're not going to be able to tap me because dummy, sorry, the south hand is out of spades.
Yep.
And so I'll be able to take the rough in the short hand.
And
So
that is
that's the way to defeat being tapped out.
and that
When you're roughing in the short hand, you can't be tapped out. If they're going to tap you out, they need to force you to rough in the long hand, which is north here.
exactly, and this is the big win for not drawing trump. If you draw the 3 rounds of trump you need to get a good break out of the way, you just don't have that defense against a third spade.
So now the question is, so I'm in dummy. We've kind of chessed through this, and so we know because we've sort of foreseen what's going to happen to us at trick nine on a bad day. At trick two, we're going to play a diamond,
Yep.
and the question is, which of the diamond finesses do we want to take? Do we want to lead the jack of diamonds, playing west for the queen,
Yep.
or do we want to lead a low diamond to the king, playing west for the ace? And the answer to this question comes from a clue based on the opening lead,
Which was a low spade.
which was a low spade. And so, from the opponent's perspective, spades and diamonds were both unbid suits,
Yep.
and they're both therefore approximately equally attractive. So, we'd expect to see spade and diamond leads each about 50% of the time.
Okay.
But the hands where the opponents lead spades are often going to have a major thing in common, which is that they're going to be hands where they hold the opening leader holds the diamond ace, right? The opponents know they're not supposed to lead unsupported aces.
Right.
So anytime that East has the ace of diamonds,
You're going to see a
we
spade.
expect to see a spade lead.
Hmm.
And so that changes the odds. That means that when we see a spade lead, it's more likely than not that the diamond ace resides with the opening leader.
And that's a lot of bridge decisions are that kind of grayish area where it's never going to be certainty, and it's not even close to certainty in this spot, but that actual piece of information just makes it more likely that they hold that card.
Right. An intuitive way of thinking about it might be to say this. Let's imagine that instead of East's actual hand, he had queen fourth in spades and queen fourth in diamonds, and it was his turn to lead. We're going to see he's going to flip a mental coin and
Right.
lead something.
Yep.
So, from all of the hands like that, we're going to see a random lead essentially.
Right.
Whereas with a hand like this one, where he has the ace of diamonds, he's going to have a good reason for leading a spade.
Yep.
So a way you can think about it for yourself is when they lead a particular side suit, there's some chance it was random,
Yep.
but there's also a chance that they had a good reason. And so that's what you want to focus on. Say, if they had a good reason, what would that reason be? And here, that reason is going to be quite likely the diamond ace.
Yep. That is
So,
terrific.
putting it all together,
You make the right
if we
play.
have to take a diamond play at trick two, we're going to guess that East is likely to have the diamond ace because of that spade opening lead. And so when that succeeds on this layout, we're in really great shape because it's reduced the number of times we're going to need to give the lead in total, right?
Right. The
Now we
tempo.
only right, we only need to concede two tempos by giving them the diamond ace and the club ace in order to get our trick set up, right? So
Yep.
if the diamond jack had lost to the queen, we still have a third round diamond trick in the fullness of time because our king and 10 are what we call equals against the remaining ace, meaning
Right.
we play one of them and the opponents have to take their ace and the other one's good.
Right.
But we need an extra entry in order to do that. We need to get in. And the opponents are going to be using their opportunities of getting in to kind of keep playing spades at us potentially. And so that's where those worries about getting tapped out came from. So
Right.
here we're thinking, great, we're all set.
And you should expect a spade lead to be
We're,
made here, but they ended
we're
up leading a
right.
diamond instead.
Right, we're expecting a spade back, but
Yep.
notice that because our diamond play worked,
They
if
are
a spade does come back, now is the time to draw trumps
right.
because our plan is we needed a 3-2 break to make our contract anyway.
Yep.
So we're going to draw all 3 rounds of trumps. We still have one trump left, right? So we're talking about the world in which the opponents played back a spade when they won the
Sure.
ace of diamonds. We
Sure.
drew 3 rounds of trumps. We've got one left. And now all that remains is to drive out the club ace and claim. We've
Yep.
got 5 trumps in our hand. The ace of spades is 6. 3 club tricks are 9. And the king of diamonds is the 10th trick.
Bingo. But you play 2 rounds of trump and you see the bad news.
Right. I see the bad news. And by the way, just to kind of complete that earlier thought, it would be a mistake not to play 3 rounds of trumps if they were breaking, because when we go to dislodge the ace of clubs by playing clubs, it would really stink if
To
the
get it
opponent's got
rough.
a club rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So here, I see that the the uh, the trumps don't break, but that doesn't really matter to me now because they forgot to tap me. Right?
Right.
They had played a diamond back when they won the first diamond.
Yeah, back
So I
here,
can,
right here is where they gave you more tempo. They gave you a
right,
tempo.
exactly. So let's imagine that they'd played a spade back there, a
Yep.
much tougher defense,
Sure.
and now I had drawn these 2 rounds of
Well,
trump.
yeah, and now at this point, you essentially have queen and only one other trump left,
Right.
if that's what happened. Correct.
Right. And I can't afford in this environment to draw the 3rd round of trumps
Yep.
because the opponents might be able to win the ace of clubs, cash the 4th round of trumps,
Right.
drawing my last trump, and run all the
Yeah.
spades.
So when we take this away, there's no chance you can continue drawing trump if that card is not there
Right.
because
But
you're.
also dummy spades not there. Why don't you X that one out
Oh,
as well
exactly. Sorry.
in this so my plan is I'm going to play clubs, and I actually don't care if the opponents get a club rough, right? Because the fellow with the jack nine of trumps left has a natural trump
Right.
trick. So if he makes it in the fullness of time just by sitting around, or if he makes it on a rough,
It
it
doesn't matter.
really is totally indifferent to me.
Yep.
Um, but I just don't want to fall behind. And so if they win the ace of clubs in this variety that we're talking about in this variation
Right.
and play a 3rd round of spades, I'll be able again to rough it in the short hand. I still have that
Yep.
10 of trumps sitting in the south hand. And so
Exactly.
they're not going to be able to shorten me. And so eventually I'm going to be able to give East the one trump trick and use my clubs. And that's going to be down 1.
Right.
It's not the greatest result ever, but I couldn't do anything better than that once it turned out that the trumps broke
And
4-1.
and as we see, the robots, didn't they weren't on their A game apparently on this particular hand, but just as we go forward here, it's essentially down one guaranteed. There's really nothing you can do about it when the
Absolutely.
trumps
Or we
don't
might
break.
say that the robots were playing at a super high level where they saw that once the trumps were left intact in the dummy, once I didn't make the mistake of drawing trumps early, the tap out defense was futile. So
Right.
they just decided to go a different route and hope that something good happened.
So, and we can hold that discussion for another one, for another day. Is the robot a bridge genius or just just lucky? Who knows?
Yeah, that'll be a good topic.
All right, Chris. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.
All right. See you then.